Thank you, Barry. Coming up next on The Beat Goes On, we welcome a candidate for councillor in Auckland, Patrick Cummuskey. For the last 10 years, Patrick has worked with the Auckland Council in the Building Control Department and has a good understanding of all the issues surrounding the hot topic of housing. Patrick Cummuskey, welcome to The Beat Goes On. A future Auckland City Councillor. It's a great ambition, isn't it, to be on the Auckland City Council, or is it the kiss of death? One of the two.
Definitely looking forward to hopefully getting elected and taking a role there.
Now, Patrick, the reason we're going to talk to you is that this is ongoing. It's been going on for years now. A housing crisis in Auckland, and the thing is, who could we talk to that's going to go on the council and who will have experience and knowledge about why we have a crisis and how did it happen, etc., etc. Because you work at the Auckland City Council at the moment.
Correct.
And you are in the Auckland building. Which section are you in?
The Auckland Council Building Control Department.
The Auckland Council Building Control Department.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a big title, isn't it?
Yep.
Who worked that one out? And now, Patrick, you've been there for some years.
About 10 years now.
Wow. And you've seen Auckland go from where things were pretty normal and house prices were pretty normal to the raging inferno that it is today.
Well, what it was is even 5 years ago I'd been intending on buying my parents' property in Mount Wellington, which at the time the valuation was around about 5 or maybe 600,000, and then the market just began to take off. And what we find now is that there was a house down the street which probably would have been previously valued at maybe about 350, 450, and recently it sold for 1.35 million in Mount Wellington.
People get the impression that, as the years have gone by, that the council has been obstructionist, that they've sat on policies that tried to limit growth and they just sat there and did nothing.
Rural boundary.
So this bottleneck occurred. That's the perceived thing of what's happened. Is that true at all, or is that just wrong analysis?
It's definitely a perception that has been fostered a lot by certain groups in our society. What I've found in my working at council is that council staff, myself and many others included, they're just like everybody else. They haven't gone into the organisation to try and to be obstructionist, to make people's lives hard. Particularly in terms of the leaky building crisis, I find that to be a perfect case in point for where you have plenty of council staff now who never wanted to see something like this occur and are doing everything that they can to prevent another occurrence of that. And when we have calls from developers and other parties saying, look, you just need to build, sort it out, remove our boundaries, then we run the risk, if we just let the market decide everything, then there will be cowboys and those who will take advantage of it. And we will see not only poor quality construction, but we'll also see other environmental impacts, tragedies of the commons, where maybe one new development isn't a problem, but then if you suddenly add up 10 different ones, you'll find that, that whole area of, the Waitakeris or, the fertile fields down south, all of a sudden it's gone, and you've lost this environmental and agricultural resource. So that's...
Now the clue would be, Patrick,
Yep.
Say you were a dictator and you were suddenly in charge of Auckland and your word was law. What would be the first thing that you would change in the building control section? Is there one thing that you can see?
One singular thing. Probably the thing that I would be most keen to see occur is that the government and or council get more involved in the actual construction of buildings, particularly from my work on earthquake-prone buildings, looking back at what the Ministry of Works constructed, even though it's quite dated in many ways, they are incredibly resilient buildings, and they're able to build a lot of them very quickly, very effectively, and they've lasted.
So that old saying, they don't build them, they don't make them like they used to, really rings true here.
What we found, one of our council offices, Bleedersloe House, which was built in the 50s, is one of our strongest buildings in Auckland. We did assessments of it and found that its seismic performance was pretty well up there compared to modern buildings. And Ministry of Works and Construction, sure, they would have spent more of the time, but it was something that has now lasted and will still continue to function. It serves us well. So I would like to see more of that philosophy come back into it, that we're actually building for the future, not just for the next economic cycle.
Now, Patrick, you're not going to be dictator of the Auckland City Council, but you are aiming to be a councillor, and you're only 31 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. What led up to thinking, you were sitting at your desk, you thought, I'd like to run for council. How did that happen?
It's really come about as the culmination of many years of thinking about eventually getting involved in politics. I had probably, since I started working at council and came to understand more and more about what it actually does and how it fits in with the overall political process in the country, I started thinking, well, this would actually be something that I'd quite like to get involved in. I've always been attracted to civic service, hence working for the council, and in my spare time I volunteer for St John. So I've always wanted to work in areas where I'm benefiting the public good. And ultimately, getting into an elected official role is sort of the end point.
Yeah.
And so it came to pass that at the end of last year that I started talking with a number of the existing politicians around the scene, and in talking with them, a number of them said, well, look, quite a few of them were getting on and looking to retire after many years of service, and that there weren't all that many people who were putting their names forward. And so I thought, well, I hadn't intended to do it, necessarily at this point in my life.
At 31, that's rather young, isn't it?
I thought, yes, often the sort of people you see running for office tend to be quite a few more years older. But I thought, well, I've done quite a bit in my 10 years at council, and I've learned a lot. I've worked with a lot of departments internally, a lot of external organisations, and in many different fields. So I thought, okay, this is
well.
about
If you
the right
become
time.
a councillor, you'll know the system backwards, won't you? You'll know it, which is going to be a great asset, to a lot of people who are just thinking, look, they're outside of the council and they decide to join. Wonderful. So if you're working for Auckland Council and you decide to run as a councillor, you have to stand down. Is that 2 months before the election? Is that how it works?
Yes. So for any council officers who have put their names forward to run for office, whether it's for a councillor role or for a local board, about 2 months prior to election day, they need to go on stand down leave, which is what I've done.
The area that you're going to be running for council is, to a lot of us baby boomers, it was the old Mount Wellington, One Tree Hill area, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, of course it's got a new name now, so I'm going to let you say it.
Cummuskey.
How big is this area?
It's pretty substantial. It stretches from round about Royal Oak in the west, across to Penrose, Mount Wellington, and then up to Glen Innes, and then arcs back down.
Population of about, what, 30?
Around about 75 to 80,000.
75 to 80,000. And in the old days, that would have, of course, that was a mayoralty in itself, wasn't
Pretty
it?
much.
And this is an area that you've grown up and you've loved that area.
Yep. Grown up in Mount Wellington, now living over in Onehunga.
Now, Patrick, if people are going to vote for you, then they're going to have to be getting ready pretty soon, because tonight is the 29th of August, and of course the elections, everybody, is on the October the 8th. And the postal ballots start when? A couple of weeks' time, don't they?
Around about the middle of September.
So, Patrick, you're allowed to have look at that camera over there and give a 60-second speech on why you think you should be the councillor for the area that you're going for.
Well, as a local in the area with substantial experience working for council and volunteering in the public sector, I've got strong ties to the community and a good technical background. I've got a vision for the future for not only the area, but for the city overall, and I will look to do the citizens of Maunga Kia Tamaki proud.
Good on you, Patrick.
Thank you.
Wonderful. A 31-year-old young man setting out on a political career, and it's a privilege to have you here today. And let's have a look at that name. Viewers, don't forget the name. Patrick's pretty easy to remember.
Yep.
Good Irish name. But the Cummuskey, that's a little bit different, isn't it? Where's the Cummuskey from?
Irish as well.
Oh,
Council
is it?
Blaney, County Monaghan. Just a lot of people tend to think it's Eastern European, but
Yes, I think it's Polish or something like that.
a lot of people do, but definitely Irish.
Okay, so that's news to me. So Patrick, Irish, Cummuskey.
Yep.
Good Irish name. Wow. You know, they built America. The Irish built America, so it looks like they're going to be building the city council, aren't they? Patrick, I'm going to wish you the best
Thank
on
you
the
very
8th
much.
on the 8th of October, and it'll be wonderful to see you as a councillor.
I do hope so.
Thank you, Patrick. And before we continue, we have winners to announce from last week's show.